Om Sri Sai Ram. Murali Krishna, Mukunda Krishna, Mohan Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Gopi Krishna, Gopal Krishna, Govardhan Dhara, Krishna Krishna, Radha Krishna, Balakrishna, Rasa Vilola, Krishna Krishna, Shirdi Krishna, Parti Krishna, Shri Satya Sai, Krishna Krishna, Shri Satya Sai, Krishna Krishna. Om Sri Sai Ram. Every spiritual aspirant, every serious spiritual aspirant who is truly interested in uplifting his mind to the higher levels of awareness has to offer his mind to the maker of mind, to the master of mind, to the creator of mind, because he alone can unmake it and remake it and then uplift it and enlighten it. No lesser authority can do for us. Bookish knowledge can give some intellectual satisfactions. Even meditation can give some spiritual satisfaction. But the true enlightenment, the universal awareness, enlightenment is awareness that can be bestowed upon only by the authority, the cosmic authority, the grace. And it is an effortless process. It is just transmitting the light from the source. But before that is transmitted, the instrument has to be uplifted to receive it gracefully without any side effects. Sadhguru alone can do that. No lesser authority can do or should do or should attempt to do. It is a very sensitive, very sacred transmission of highest universal awareness from God mind to human mind. The mind has to be purified and uplifted. And to purify the mind has to pass through the fire of purification, what Swami calls fire of three zeros. We all are attached to our body consciousness, to our body self, to our mind self, to our intellectual self, to our authority self. To our social positioning self. Each one of us. We identify ourselves with these small, small achievements, small, small degrees, small, small wisdoms and knowledge. And we get what we call the juice of the dry bone out of it. When a dog takes a dry bone from the street and he starts biting it, he gets the taste of the juice as if he doesn't know that the bone has hit his jaws, his mouth from inside. It has ruptured its veins of blood, and the blood is oozing out of from his own mouth, and he enjoys tasting his own blood unknowingly. He thinks he is enjoying the bone. That is the level of dog mind. Our senses actually don't enjoy any object. It is the object that is enjoying our senses, our mind. It is other way around. They are eating our vital forces through so many varieties of entertainment achievements. It is natural. We don't have to fight it out with them. It is a lower stage. That's it. Like a child is in the KG, one day he will reach the PhD. But KG is also important to reach the PhD. So we don't have to get dejected. A aspirant must not despair. He has to aspire. We should not all the time think, oh, we are in KGs. So what? That is a process. But we should not be satisfied remaining in the KG all the time just because there are playthings and there are no responsibilities. Teacher is loving us and everything is fine. You can play all around. There is no homework. There are not big examinations. So some minds enjoy being remaining in KG even when they grow even up to 70 years, 80 years. They remain childish because they enjoy remaining childish. They don't want to grow, they don't want to become mature because maturity brings responsibilities. Once you grow, then you have to welcome the examination because without examination, there cannot be any promotion. How can we be promoted unless we face the examination? Life is a challenge, meet it. Life is a game, play it. Life is a dream, realize it. Life is love, enjoy it. All these four aspects are important. We have to love it because it is, we have to enjoy it because life is love. We must enjoy it. But we have to be prepared to face any challenges because life is a challenge. Face it. Should not run away from the challenges. And it is a game. We have to play the game like a sports person. You cannot always oblige, but at least you can always speak obligingly. A sports person will be sporty in everything, in action and reaction. A true sports person. And then life is a dream, realize it. Whatever may happen, it has no real importance, it has no real value. We have to know that also at the back of our mind. Keeping the truth at the back of our mind that it is just a dream, we have to play the game. Even when a brother-in-law plays game with us, our own brother-in-law, he may be our brother-in-law outside the game, but when we play cards with him, or even our wife is on the opposite side, we don't oblige just because she is my wife or he is my brother-in-law. Even my father, even my son. While playing, we have to play our cards smartly. But at the back of mind, we should not cross the Lakshman Rekha, the Maryada, the line of righteousness, the code of conduct. We cannot be abusive in our language when we are playing with our father or mother in law or brother in law or our own mother. We have to be restrained in our thoughts, in our speech. Fight we must, play we must, win we must try to. But we should know at the back of our mind the game is not important, the play is important. We don't have to take anything seriously in this life. At the same time, if there are challenges in the game, we have to face it. Don't run away. Face every situation fearlessly, and soon there will be no situation to face. Face it. So, these three zeros Swami has indicated for every serious spiritual aspirant. And all his students, devotees, staff who have that privilege of that divine proximity, everybody has gone through that phase of three zeros. Some can't bear it for more than one day. Some cannot take it beyond 1 week. Some give up in 1 month, 6 months. Many have come and gone. Today's form boys, tomorrow's gone boys. And this is not only with the boys, it is with every devotee, every person who has been in proximity with Swami. Even Dr. S. Bhagwantam, who had so many experiences, who truly believed he had, being a scientist, he actually analyzed everything in details. He was not at all that blind faith like person. And lived with Swami, he interpreted his discourses. But one small issue and he left. Because Swami puts you to test. Once Swami is confident of your devotion, your love, then he tries you for the higher level. He is the master maker. Those who can take it, and for that, unshakable faith is required. And that faith need not be based on our own experiences. Actually, it should go beyond our experiences. True faith is not dependent upon anyone's experiences, not even on our own experiences. What experiences did Meera have before loving Krishna? Before being devoted to Krishna? Experiences followed the love and faith that she had naturally, spontaneously. What faith Shabri, what experiences Shabri had before she started cleaning the path for arrival of Rama at any point in time in future? Who could predict the Narayana would take birth in Ayodhya in palace and then he will be cursed to go to jungles in the forest, and then his wife will be kidnapped and then he would pass through that particular path to give darshan to Shabri. Unthinkable on human plane. Yet she had that faith and she had no prior experience on that to put her belief on that prior experience. Nothing. When your heart is pure and innocent, you can see the light directly. You don't need any support on that. Love is self-effulgent. Truth is self-evident. If it is true love, truth and love together, then you don't need any evidence, any experience, any proof on that. Direct one to one, heart to heart, love to love. It is His grace, nothing from my side, because I have mentioned many times I have not undertaken any type of sadhana or ritualism. I never used to visit any temples before I came to Swami. I had no clue about anything relating to God. Except that I used to read Bhagavad Gita one chapter every day, that too as a homage to my grandfather who used to read for us when we were kids. And without having any faith or any interest in Krishna Arjuna dialogue, there is no clue, no understanding on that. We were kids. And in the college, when I started reading it as a homage to my grandfather, I started just thinking, because now I was grown up. I could understand bit. If there is Krishna, if what Bhagavad Gita says has any meaning in that, is truthful, any credibility in that, then Krishna must be somewhere in some form. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. Then the situation in this country and in the world over demands that he should be there somewhere in some form, not necessarily in the same form of Krishna, because that is common sense. He could be in any other form suitable to this times. Just a fleeting thought, not even in any serious thought on that. And then Swami chooses and then calls, and then the moment I see him, I see divinity. He showed me his aura. Direct. No prior experience, nothing. When I see his photograph of Vibhuti, I see Krishna in that. Direct. Because there is no prejudice. There is no agenda. There is no selfishness. There are no prayers even. Nothing. Absolute nothing. Swami caught hold of my hand in the very first encounter. Tell me what you want. Open offer. Nothing, Swami. I love you. Nothing else came out from my mouth spontaneously. When you love with truth, with no agenda, no intentions, no selfishness, pure childlike love, innocent love, like the first love of any girl or boy, they're innocent. They may not know each other's name or family background, nothing. That love is pure love. That love comes from the heart, and heart does not need any arguments, any logic, any evidence. But everybody can't be blessed with that. Rest have to go through the process. And the process is the process of self-purification. Even after we get that blessing of loving him without any experience, Swami welcomes everybody. He gives interviews and interviews, and he will talk and talk, gives so much importance that you get saturated with his love. But then he doesn't stop at that, because he is the master. He wants to uplift you. His love is not blind love. He doesn't want to possess you forever. He wants you to rise up. He wants to give you that freedom of soul, to experience the freedom of soul, that you go beyond the body consciousness. And for that, as a master maker, he has to unmake you and remake you. You can't take gold to a goldsmith and tell, sir, this is gold gifted by my mother. Please don't put it in fire for too long. Please don't hammer it too hard. Please don't bend it again and again. And just make a jewel out of it without troubling it, without hurting it. The goldsmith will say, Amma, you please take your gold and keep it in your locker. Once you have decided to make jewel out of the gold, You have to surrender your gold to the reliable goldsmith and just tell him what do you want and then go and sleep. Surrender and shut up. Definitely, of course, he will put it in fire. How else will he purify it? Certainly enough, he will hammer it, bend it, and make a beautiful jewel out of it. But till then, you have to be patient. You have to bear it all and say nothing, do nothing. That is the period when you have to do nothing, say nothing, just be nothing, total surrender. For that, you need to have that unshakable faith in the master. If you don't trust the goldsmith, don't keep your gold with that person. Doubting minds are half blind. Mother Sita had to pass through that. Every devotee has to pass through that. Even the warden, the students, everyone. And I was no exception. But the blessing with me was that what I have heard, the limited accounts of other students and staff and wardens and everyone, I have heard so many accounts of Swami putting them in fire of three zeros that they never voluntarily asked for it. They were forced, they were put into that situation created by Swami, and they could not survive for more than few months or few days. Many left. Very few could survive. That too for when the process was only for a small period. Upper limit that I have heard of my known friends was 6 months. Beyond that, it's very difficult. Many left on the next day. But this child, I voluntarily prayed to Swami when Swami explained the meaning of three zeros in Kodaikanal to one NRI lady devotee. I could hear what Swami was telling. Three zeros is first, you will lose all your wealth, your money, everything will be in dispute. Your properties, all your properties will be in dispute. You will lose your wealth and money. Second one, your own will disown you. Your own friends, relatives, known, your own colleagues, they will disown you. And third, the most difficult, you will be blamed for certain things which you cannot even imagine to do. So you will be blamed for certain acts. Like the washerman blaming Mother Sita of certain things which Mother Sita or anybody for that matter cannot imagine such things upon Mother Sita. She was embodiment of purity. Even Ravana could not touch her, though she was in his captivity for few years, I believe 2 years. He dare not, he was so pure. Yet she had to pass through the fire before Rama accepted her. And when again she was blamed by a common citizen, a washerman, Rama had to send her back to forest. She had to undergo that fire. She was born in a kingdom, married to a king, the prince, but she had to live the entire life in forests. All her property, wealth, relatives, everything is gone. But yet there is a smile on her face. She was never sad, even for a moment, because she had the image of Rama, the presence of Rama installed in her heart. Unmistakable, unmissable presence in and around her. Rama was her refuge all the time, 24 by 7. And I had guts to ask Swami, actually, pray to Swami to bless me to undergo this fire of three zeros, because I had enjoyed such proximity and such assurances from Swami in interview room. He said, when my wife told him, Swami, inki raksha karna, Swami, you please protect him all the time. Swami said, what you are talking? He is always with me. This is rarest of the rare blessing. God telling about anybody that He is always with me. And then He even blessed his with His blessings, which He gives to most of the devotees, that I am in you, around you, behind you, besides you, always and everywhere. But to say that He is always with me is the rarest of the rare assurances. So I was so confident that I will pass through this. And I knew that after passing through these three zeros, if not in this avatar, then when? And He is with me. He has assured me. Then the upliftment, I knew. Swami had declared that also, that once you pass through these three zeros without losing faith in me, and you still continue to love me with your faith, then I will uplift you to the next level of awareness, universal awareness. Then my grace will flow upon you forever and ever and ever. I wanted that ultimate realization. And I knew that I will have to go through this. Of course, I did not know how intense it would be and how long it would be. But then, when the Master is in our presence and He is assured His protection and His presence all the time, and He is telling me that I am with Him, why do I fear of anything, any situation? Love is fearlessness, fear is lovelessness. And I went through this process, and throughout the process, I can now tell with that confidence. All the time, Swami was holding me with his both the hands, like mother. His love and grace were flowing upon me of millions of mother. The intensity of that love was unparalleled. And it sealed the bond of love between me and Swami. This period of physical separation for some time sealed the bond, because there was a pain in that separation. And the pain seals the bond of love. Dard ka rishta. The relationship of pain. Mother loves her son, the first child, because she has that pain, relationship of pain. She has undergone the pain giving birth to her child. That seals the bond of love between mother and child. Fathers will not have that bond. That is the secret. That is why mother is worshipped, adored. Because she has gone through the pain. And that pain purifies the mind. And after that period was over, Swami sent his boys to me. 3 boys who were staying opposite to my house. They came running. Uncle, and they, because that is one more blessing, that during that period I did not blame anyone. Though there was Swami used somebody as Kaikai, somebody as a mantra. Rama has to take the help of Kaikai so that he can go to forest. Kaikai used to love him more than Kaushalya, but she was forced to act as villain. And those who acted as Kaikai and Mantra in my case, they both actually literally came to touch my feet without any effort from my side, any complaints from my side. because I had learned only one thing. He is the one who hits me, is the one who feeds me. There is no second. Nobody can do anything. Nobody can even dare touch me at any level without his sankalpa. If I had to fight, if I had to blame, it is only him, no one else. And after passing through that phase, when Swami comes for darshan, I am sitting there. I see a light emerging from his heart and moving towards me. I could see with my open eyes, direct. The light emerging from his heart and merging in my being, in my heart, in my inner being. I felt the upliftment. Though he had given me Jivan Mukta, as I mentioned in that, the boon I had sought from him and I got from him, that these two births I will remain with him as his near and dear. And I told him, Swami, after living with you for these two births, what remains? Even if I am born Ravana, no bad karma or good karma will remain with me. Because if I have to live with you as your near and dear, not only near, near and dear, then my upliftment is ensured. I don't have to ask for it. I am in Jivan Mukta. He gave me that awareness, which can come only with His grace. And in this entire process, my contribution, if at all, is big, big, big zero. Nothing, absolute nothing. Except that I kept my faith, my confidence in my love for Him unshakable. I have mentioned somewhere that Colonel Rajalakshmi, who was superintendent of super specialty hospital, first in Puttaparthi, then now in Whitefield also. She's about 90. She had great affection. She used to love me like her own son. And my wife as her daughter. She once called me and told me, Harish, you are surviving. I have seen many devotees leaving Swami on this. You are surviving because of your faith in his love. That is remarkable. I said, no, madam. Swami loves everybody equally. I am surviving because of my confidence in my love for Swami. The day I lose confidence in my own love for Swami, I will not be able to survive one moment with him. So long as my love is pure and I have full faith